Today's podcast is sponsored by Anchor. If you haven't heard about Anchor, it's the easiest way to make a podcast. Let me explain. It's free. There's creation tools that allow you to record and edit your podcast right from your phone or computer. Anchor will distribute your podcast for you so you can be heard on Spotify, Apple Podcast, and many more. You can make money from your podcast with no minimum listenership. It's everything you need to make a podcast in one place. So go download the free Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started. Alright, hello, welcome back to the BattlePlans podcast. This may be the last episode for a while because I'm going to leave on vacation pretty soon. But anyways, let's get right into it. So, the Battle of Bannockburn, 1314 AD. So the background to this battle is that King Alexander III, the Scottish king, had just died. So King Edward appointed a new vassal of his over Scotland. However, eventually Scotland broke their peace with England after constantly being demanded for men and weapons to support the war with France. Angered, Edward raised an army and started the First War of Scottish Independence. This led to Edward conquering much of southern Scotland and then leaving a well-armed garrison force to guard it, while he went and fought France. However, the flames of rebellion were lit when William Wallace defeated the English at Stirling Bridge. This led Edward to decisively defeat Wallace at Falkirk after signing a peace treaty with France. With the throne of Scotland still empty though, Robert the Bruce killed his rivals and established him as King of the Scots. Unfortunately, his rebellion got off to a bad start with a crushing defeat at Methven. Then at the Battle of Dalry, his retreating army was attacked and almost completely wiped out. He then ran away to Rathlin, a small island above Ireland, to contemplate what he should do. Unfortunately, while waiting, his wife and sisters were captured and one of his brothers killed. Robert then sailed to the mainland where he defeated the English at Glen Truel and Loudon Hill at the cost of two of his brothers dying. This caused his territory to grow soon after Edward died, only to be replaced by his lesser son Edward II. Over the next couple of years, Robert the Bruce conquered the rest of Scotland by crushing his Scottish rivals and sieging English castles. By spring of 1314, only two English castles were left in Scotland. They were Stirling and Boswell. Boswell was not an immediate threat, so Robert let his brother Edward Bruce lead the siege of Stirling. Philip Mowbray, the governor of the castle, agreed that if he wasn't relieved by June 24th, he would surrender. This spurred Edward II to muster an army almost twice the size of Robert's and arrive at Stirling by the 24th of June. So Robert camped about a mile south of Stirling and waited for Edward to arrive. Alright, the first day of the battle. So Robert divided his army of 7,000 men into divisions of 4 skiltrons, which are tight formations of pikemen along the road to Stirling Castle. However, as the English were arriving and deploying their men, a brave English knight saw Robert and tried to charge him down with his horse. This caused Robert to move aside his nimble horse and chop the knight's head clean off. This was a large boost in morale for the Scottish troops, but meanwhile, Hereford, an English commander, spurred on his horsemen just towards the Scots who were stationed just outside of the forest. Hereford didn't know that Robert the Bruce had built large holes in the ground covered with branches on either side of the road, so when Hereford charged the wall of pikes, he was met with considerable losses because his men couldn't form up because of the large holes in the ground and the pikes. Gloucester, another English lord, tried to support Hereford by rushing around the pit traps, but pulled back when he saw Edward the Bruce arrive with more skitrons to protect Robert's flank. Unbeknownst to the Scots, Clifford arrived on the left flank of the Scots with English cav. This caused Randolph and Douglas to charge the cav with their tight formations. This was successful and drove Clifford off and ended the battle for the first day. Although the English still had the numerical advantage, the men were discouraged and the unsuccessful attacks. Because of the unsuccessful attacks, the English morale was very low. With the day ending, Edward moved his troops farther north, wheeling about to face the Scots while they set up camp. Meanwhile, Robert and his lords were discussing what to do the next day, but then a defective English knight rode up and told them the sorry state of the English were in, and promised victory if they attacked the next day. So the second day was the most intense fighting of the battle. Scottish Skiltrons advanced against the heavy cav and eventually pushed them in between the stream and themselves. Heavy English losses, followed by Robert the Bruce's final push of reserve Skiltrons, caused the English to flee. The casualties were very high. 4,000 infantry and 1,000 cav were killed on the English side, out of their original 13,000 infantry and 3,000 cav. The Scots lost 500 infantry out of 7,000 infantry and 600 cav. The aftermath of this battle was that Robert's family was returned to him, and that now there's a memorial at the place where the battle was thought to have been. The Scots were also able to invade England and Ireland while Edward II cowered.